guys, I am back with another ARC review of a book that I'm not even sure I thought I was going to like or finish, or I'm not even really sure sometimes why I got it from Edelweiss. But I think what is happening at this point is I'm just too addicted to just knowing how the new Tessa Bailey book is going to go. Because if you've seen it, one of the most popular videos of all time on this channel is my series review of her Hot and Hammered series, which I really enjoyed and I still do recommend to other people. Last year I read one of Tessa Bailey's new books called Secretly Yours, and I don't even know how to explain what was going on in that book. It was definitely one of the worst books that I read last year, and I was just maybe just the way that Tessa Bailey's writing is going is just not for me. So an arc of her new book came up on Edelweiss, which I requested, and thanks to Edelweiss and the publisher for giving me a copy, because it was a sports romance and it's about golf, so it's not a sport that I follow, but some of my favorite Tessa Bailey books have been sport romances, and I went, oh, there's just something about Tessa Bailey's writing where I was I want to believe that something like the Hot and Hammered series can happen again, so I'll give it a go. It's not as bad as Secretly Yours. It's not as good as the Hot and Hammered series. I'm gonna be honest, this one's also a little bit all over the place. However, my issue with Secretly Yours is that the plot made absolutely no sense. And in this one, we at least have a really excellent plot, and I'm gonna tell you all about it. So this book is the first book in what Goodreads is calling the Big Shot series. It's called Fangirl Down, and it is the story of Josephine and Wells. So Wells Whitaker has been on the golf scene for a number of years. When he first came out and was playing professional golf, he exploded onto the scene, won a bunch of tournaments, was basically the brand new, hottest thing on the block. And then his self-destructive nature kicked in. He was a bad boy. He had a kind of a really, all over the place upbringing, and he likes to fight with his fists. And so when things started, going poorly for him after that initial success, he basically decided to blow up his entire career, and he's just hanging on to being in professional golf at all by a thread. Most people just don't care about him anymore, already think he's washed, even in his 20s, except for his single, incredible, amazing supporter, Josephine. Josephine grew up playing golf. She owns a pro shop that was once her family's, and she considers herself Wells's #1 fangirl. She shows up to every one of his tournaments that she can get to, holding a sign that says Wells Bell. And she believes that it is important as a fangirl, as it is in most of her life, to show loyalty. She believes in Wells even though he doesn't believe in himself, and she always shows up to support him. Things come to a head at a particular golf tournament where Wells and Josephine actually have an interaction. Josephine tells him that she will always believe in him and he just needs to believe in himself. And Wells, who has basically just decided that golf can go just throw itself out a window, goes full self-destructive, tears Josephine's sign in half, and quits golf. Josephine decides that it is time to finally hang up her fangirl life for Wells because he is clearly not a good person and he has quit golf, and she needs to go back and take care of her family's pro shop. The pro shop is in Florida, which is hit at this point in the narrative by a hurricane which decimates Josephine's family's shop. Wells hears about the hurricane on the news, has these crazy thoughts about how Josephine could be in trouble or could be trapped under rubble, and he has been spending weeks and weeks drunk and out of his mind, having quit golf and basically letting go of himself. And for whatever reason, this news knocks that out of him. He gets in his car and he drives to Florida, where he sees the state of Josephine's shop. Josephine does not have flood insurance. She is a type 1 diabetic who also does not have enough of her insulin medication. She had been putting everything, canceling her own insurance, the shop's insurance, to try to prop up the pro shop, which now has again been totally decimated by this hurricane, and she is desperately in need of money. Wells, after interacting with her, starts to feel like parts of his soul come alive that have really been dead for a long time. and caring about Josephine and also caring about his own career, even if he doesn't want to admit it. Wells says, hey, what if we go back on tour, if I can get back on, and you become my caddy, and I will pay, you know, you to caddy for me. You'll get the money you need to reopen the shop and, you know, fill up your insulin, get your health care back, and they get to spend time together. And Josephine says yes, so off on golf touring they go. Needless to say, all that time spent together escalates pretty quickly, and they start to have real feelings for each other. Well, start is a bad word, but we'll talk about that. So one of the things that I really, really liked about the Hot and Hammered series was their handling, particularly the third book, of like mental health and, you know, different ways that people kind of like get really wrapped up in themselves and not trusting themselves, and being able to become a stronger person with the help of someone that they fall in love with throughout the book, but like still being able to stand on their own. And that was basically Josephine's story. She has type 1 diabetes, and she has been trying to convince particularly her parents, but also her friends, that she's not, you know, weak, right? She is not, you know, put down or, you know, should be not be sidelined because of her type 1 diabetes. She can manage it. She's an adult. She's in her 20s and she's capable, and she really just wants people to see her as capable. So the simple act of Wells asking her to be his caddy when she needs to like lug his, you know, golf clubs all around the course, it's just something that literally no one has ever asked of her before, really. And so she really sees this as a chance to prove to herself and others that she is stronger than anyone really gives her credit for, sometimes even herself, and also get money to reopen the pro shop. Wells kind of just seems like the world's grumpiest grump when you get started in the book, but once you start to see more of his personality and his backstory, you realize that he really is just, at his core, just kind of afraid. He was afraid of the spotlight, afraid of screwing up, and really afraid of people abandoning him. So when he came out like a rock star at first, he had all of these friends, and then when he started to play badly, those friends started to abandon him, and he basically just decided to, you know, if nothing was real and no one would stay, that he would just, you know, blow up his own career. And so Josephine, being that person that always stays and is always there for him, you know, these two just have these different interpersonal things that they really help each other with without being like the fix. The plot in this one makes sense, and at no point did I wonder why in the world something was happening, which was not the case with Secretly Yours. And it also managed to make golf interesting, which was funny. I don't know. I don't particularly find golf that interesting, so I was not sure how that aspect of it was going to play, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was cohesive and, like I said, a good like interpersonal storyline on that end. So yeah, all that was great. Then we get to the romance bit. So this is a Grumpy Sunshine. It is a case of she fell first, he fell harder, I'm pretty sure, because let me tell you, when these two like start to be put in the room together, the sexual attraction they have is intense. Particularly Wells, like all he can talk about is like when Josephine is wearing short skirts or her hair. He is like insanely sexually attracted to her, and it comes out in the writing. Their sexual attraction to each other is off the charts to a point where it just starts to become comical and does not feel real, and to a certain point from Wells honestly started to feel like a little bit frightening. Like if someone had feelings that intense like in real life, I don't think it would have really that great of an ending, to be honest. Like that is how hard Wells comes out swinging when he realizes that he is interested in Josephine. When they start sleeping together, the sex scenes are so over the top. They are very explicit. And some of the like dirty talk or just the like lines just start to feel like so aggressively over the top. Like one of the lines literally is, this is not my description, this is not me making fun of it, was, you know, he bends her over and bones her motherfucking brains out. And I was like, why is that a line? That's not, why is this happening? I got to the point with some of the sex scenes where I just kind of skipped by them because they just were written in such a way that it just felt aggressively over the top. That is this relationship, that is the sex scenes, that is their emotions and their feelings. And like I said, there is like this good interpersonal like mix at the bottom, which is great. And when they're having conversations that don't involve them being naked, that's great. But wow. The rest of it honestly just seemed a little painful, if we're being honest. So at the end of the day, I have a hard time with this one because while I liked the plot and I thought the like plot was okay and the different aspects that show up in it, like the type 1 diabetes was done really, really well, there were certain aspects of the characters, the characterizations and their relationship that just felt like too much. It wasn't even something where I could like, you know, be like, oh, like this is like a romance novel. Things are supposed to be like over the top and like really romantic and stuff like that. This was just like felt like a whole other level that just felt, it started to feel, and again, it's a romance novel, what is realism? But it just started to feel like this is too much. It's too much. And that started to overshadow some of the other good things happening in the novel because, like I said, I wanted to like skip through some scenes because I was just like, this is so aggressive. And honestly, like I said, the way, like the obsessive way that Wells describes his feelings for Josephine, like I said, in a romance novel, that might be a little bit of a nice fantasy and a little bit romantic, but in real life, would be scary, like 100%. And it did get to the point where I also just started to get like a little bit afraid of Wells and how much he was feeling for Josephine, because I was like, this just feels aggressively over the top. So at the end of the day, I am glad that I read it. I am glad that I, you know, requested it because it did feel way more like the Tessa Bailey that I liked in the Hot and Hammered series. And I have looked at some other stuff from people who've read even more of her books than I have, you know, on Goodreads, and other people saying that this book feels a little bit more like, someone said, OG Tessa Bailey. And I definitely got that sense as well from this, that it felt a little bit more smooth, definitely, the plotting and the pacing and all of that stuff, with like these very over the top like romantic bits. So if you are looking for something quick, something that is very spicy and just kind of like a feel-good romance, this may be exactly what you're looking for. Don't let the gulf put you off if that's not one of your favorite things in the world. I think it is well done. But at the same time, if you are looking for a romance novel that really like delves into their personal relationship and that kind of a thing, which I really enjoy in my romance novels, that is not what this is. This is, they come out, they are intensely sexually attracted to each other, they play some golf, and they bang really, really hard. That is his book. It's not a judgment thing. It just means that it is a certain type of vibe. And it might be exactly what you're looking for, and it might not. And that is what I am here to tell you, is that when this book comes out, if you are feeling this type of book, now you know. And if you're not, now you know. This is an ARC review, so if you watch this video exactly when it comes out, this book will not be quite out yet. It comes out, I believe, the day after this review is posted, so at that time you can make your own judgment call by checking it out from your local library or checking out your local bookstore. I feel like at this point, I know it's only February, but I'm still waiting for a romance novel to come out and just blow me away, so I feel like I'm still definitely on the hunt. This one was like a 3.5-ish star for me, so here's hoping that it only continues going up with the next book that I read. Thanks, guys. Bye.